Alright, so this is a very quick and dirty tutorial on how to clean up charts. So here we've got a chart that was shot using nothing more than a couple of fluorescent lights on it, and then brought into Photoshop. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to choose the perspective crop tool, which you can also get at by clicking C on your keyboard, and then click on the four corners of where the paper would be on this. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'll go ahead and accept that as the crop, and it corrects any sort of skew or distortion that shows up from shooting this at kind of an oblique angle. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to Filter and then Other, and I'm going to do what's called a high pass. And I'm going to choose, I'm probably going to keep it around 200 pixels. Now this is a two-step process between using a high pass and layers, and what we're doing here is we're taking the high tones and some of the mid-tones and kind of bringing them into the same range by using a high pass. It'll make sense once we get into the second step, which is the layer, but for right now I'm going to keep the high pass radius at around 200 pixels, and I get something that looks like that. So it's almost like purple washed out. Now I'm going to open up levels, excuse me, not layers, but levels. And the way that you get there is by going Image, Adjustments, and Levels. And then what I'm going to do, so this arc right here, this histogram, that shows where the white of the chart is. And so I'm going to bring this white slider just to the left of that where it starts to drop off a little bit. And I'm going to bring the black up just a touch. Now the gray I'll really play with, the midtones I'll really play with to get something that kind of works, which is somewhere in between too much, being faded out too much like that, and oversaturating like that. And so I'll pick a place kind of in the middle. This is just eyeballing it. Now even in something like this, I could stop here, but I will walk around the outside edge with a white paintbrush just to get rid of any sort of tape or any other sort of burn marks that might show up from fall off from the chart. And just because this yellow is showing up as pretty garish, I'm going to go over to my adjustments palette on the right. Click here where it says selective color. I'm going to choose the yellow. Need to make sure that I can see all the options for it. And I'm going to play around with it set to absolute. I'm going to play around with the black, which in effect darkens the yellow. And again, I'm going to watch to make sure that it doesn't oversaturate. So now with the yellow taken care of, I'll do the same thing with the green. And I'll darken that up a little bit. The last step is I'm going to save it as a JPEG. And in this case, don't want to replace the one I've already got. And in this case, I'm going to save it at around a quality of 8, which will give me around a 7, 8, or 900K file, which is plenty big enough to look at on a screen. That's it.